football time. It's football time. It's football time. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
That's right. It's football time in Tennessee, and we're going to be talking about this upcoming season's first game, opening game, Chattanooga versus Tennessee. And as always, I'm Dustin, joined, as always, with Jayden and Cody.
Woo!
What's up?
He's coming in strong today.
He's excited.
We got the game tomorrow. It's going to be, I'm excited. Yesterday I watched, 4 games on my TV because ESPN has the multicast and YouTube TV has the multicast where you can watch different games at the same time, and it just felt so right being able to watch football again.
I did not do that.
Good.
I did look at the FSU and the Georgia Tech game. I watched highlights from that, and it's kind of funny. A lot of the mistakes in that were so funny to me.
It's just I love this time of the year. It's getting ready to get cooler outside. Football is on the TV. It just feels like we need to be here all year long. That kind of feeling. I mean, we wait for this all year long for the first game of Tennessee to come around so we can scream Rocky Top at the top of our lungs. Actually, tomorrow on Southern DNA's channel, all 3 of us will be together doing a video for Southern DNA right before the game, and we'll be watching the game together, Tennessee versus Chattanooga. It's going to be an interesting game. We got some talking points we're going to go over here about the game, which is, it's the first game. It's kind of hard to talk about. Neither team's played. So where do we go? How much can we really go in depth on this game? We can go over a couple talking points that that we looked at might find interesting, but as a Tennessee fan, looking at Chattanooga, is this even? This is what we call a cupcake game. It should be, at least, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, according to literally every source that is putting out football rankings, it's 99% win. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of the places like ESPN's given Tennessee a 38.5 point spread. If you top it in like Microsoft, Bing.com, they're giving Tennessee a 95.2% win probability. It's not like Tennessee's going in this game. It's not going to be a strong one for them. So. But this is a season starter. This is a little bit of the appetizer to the rest of the season to see what it's going to be like. So, with that spread, we're not even going to be talking about a real win, scenario or a loss scenario in this podcast today. It's more about let's look at the team as a whole. Both teams kind of go over where they're standing. And if Chattanooga even thinks about having a shot at putting any points on us at all.
I don't know. They could later in the game.
Chattanooga.
Eventually, when the second strings get in.
Yeah. So when our third string quarterback comes in.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I think. Chattanooga coming off a loss to wrap up the season to Furman last year, they didn't have a good record. And, this is a big game for them. Not because it's going to really, show what they can do the rest of the year, but it's just a big game. It's 2 in-state teams playing against each other. There's a history here. There is definite history playing each other. We've had a series record. Tennessee has been up 38-2. And there's been 2 ties in the series history. So there is some history to this game. And actually at Tennessee, they're switching sidelines, something to that history there also.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think I think when was the last time Chattanooga ever beat us? Like what, 1958 or something like that?
It's been a
So,
while.
I mean, so really the biggest things that I would say, if there were any threat to Tennessee during this game, the biggest things that I would say would probably be a good defense, possibly a good defense, or even like a good rushing game. I mean, we've had really good defenders. We talked about it last episode. We've had really good defenders. We've got, James Pierce, and we've got Cooper Mays and all that. But I think I'm looking at a lot of the highlights and a lot of players to watch, and one of the big things that they point out a lot is a a fellow by the name Javen Waitley or Watley. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but he's a very good. Apparently, he's a good wide receiver. And the only things that I'm really concerned about for this game is just like how our defense has, grown and what they can do for this game.
Yeah, I think it will showcase some talent off, but I don't know how much talent you really want to show off in this game with some heavier hitters later on down in the season. And we'll talk about that later in the podcast, more of like tactics with the coach and stuff. But I mean, it will showcase some. I mean, it will give us some ideas, at least with our problems that we've been kind of worrying about anyways in the off season, what our secondary is going to look like. Some of the key players or the key positions in wide receiver, what that may look like also, and how Nico is going to perform. That's still kind of a mystery. But on the other side, Chattanooga has a chance to really prove something in this game also. Because the
Is
last
it 38
time
and a half spread?
yeah, well, the last time we had a matchup with them was back in 2019, and we beat them 45-0. So they have, a bone to pick, and this is something for them to show up and improve. Even if they don't win, at least prove something that their players are pretty good, that they can in their conference that they could actually do something, and all round it's Tennessee football. Both teams are Tennessee. It's Tennessee football here, so we can celebrate that at the end of the day.
Yeah, in terms of I don't know, Chattanooga, obviously we know it's a cupcake game. I hate it for Chattanooga fans, I guess, but it's just, of course, I don't want to get into earlier or later talking points, but in terms of how this game's gonna go, and like Dustin said, you don't want to show off your talent too early, you know. But I think we'll get a little taste of what's been going on, what's been cooking up during the off season. So I mean, we'll get a glimpse. I bet we're gonna be running it a lot in this game. I want to see the run game, and of course, we want to see how Nico is. So I think we'll get a little bit. We'll get a little bit of that action for sure. But
And
I think we're gonna be running it up though.
it also showcased some of the issues that Chattanooga
And
faced
defense.
last year. Chattanooga had some problems in their offense. Their senior quarterback, or his senior year is this year, but the quarterback last season did face a season-ending injury to his shoulder. So he's got something to kind of prove coming into this game too. Is he 100%? Going into their season, can he perform at a top level for his team? So, I mean, it does showcase both teams, ability to, go into their season with their own conferences looking what they may look, or make them look what they have ahead of us, and say, well, we have a chance to do what we can do in our own conferences. So these games are usually cupcake games for, SEC teams. We call them cupcake games because we face smaller schools. But it's an opportunity for the smaller schools to showcase off their talent and to bring in, more money to their programs too. So, I'm at the end of the day, it's a win for both teams, because we get to see what we are kind of going to be dealing with in the later in the year. I mean, we got some big teams we're facing this year, and we need to kind of know right off the bat what our defense looks like, what our offense is going to play like. Are we going to still have that same fast paced tempo that we've seen in the previous year, especially in the Hendon Hooker years when we were snapping that ball. I mean, we were the fastest team, or fastest offense in the NCAA. So I mean, are we going to have that kind of momentum, or are we going to be kind of on the Milton years where things kind of slowed down, which I didn't like as much,
No, the play con was questionable at times, and if you have that slow tempo, the defense just knows what you're going to do next. So hopefully that changes. Because when it's like 3rd and 13, and you've been playing a little bit slower momentum, and the play calling's been whatever, they know that you have to pass it. But sometimes we run it because we think that's going to work. So hopefully stuff like that doesn't happen as much anymore.
Well, I mean, Chattanooga, looking at, they know what they're facing. Don't get me wrong. They know. The coach over there is worried about Nico, and no one's really seen Nico play. They're already talking about how Nico's going to perform. We got some secondary that nobody knows how they're going to perform because they've not been with us. They have had some time in the game. Don't get me wrong. But they don't know what they look like in Tennessee Orange, and our play style.
Yeah.
Hopefully it looks better than last year, but
I think we're going to see a lot of running in this game. I mean, obviously, this is the chance for Nico to get his feet wet and everything, but I think if we're going to make this a very easy game for ourselves, we're probably going to stick to a lot of running, which also brings the question, will they have a defense set up for that? Because obviously our strongest power right now is obviously our running. I mean, we've got Dylan Sampson, Selden, Bishop, all of them. And I mean, it doesn't take a fool to realize that we have very, very good running backs. And it makes me wonder if Chattanooga's coach is going to set up for that, as if they're going to focus mainly on running defense, if they're going to, set more people up on the line or something like that. It makes me wonder if they're going to essentially force us to start passing. And it's like, if they do so, then more than likely we're going to see a passing game.
Well, they need to figure something out with their run defense because last year they yielded up 160.5 yards per game last season. So if we go to that run, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to be ready to come at us hard because it's going to be a bad day for them if we stick to that running game. Because Nico, I mean, there's been reports. He's got that tuck and run mentality. He will, he'll break some ankles. And if that's the case, I mean, they better be prepared. Now, personally, I would like to see some passing. I would like to see what Nico's got,
Yeah. I think another thing, and I really hope to see this, when we saw Milton, we probably saw him sliding a little bit, but I would really like to see a lot of quarterbacks starting to slide during this season. I didn't really see that a lot last season. I know I had somebody tell me the other day that they actually brought in some of the baseball players to teach some of the football players how to slide.
Really?
The best way to slide, yeah. And I really want to see a lot of sliding coming from Nico because I don't want him to hurt himself. This is his first season. I would hate for something to happen to Nico like it did Brew McCoy last season. I would really hate to see our 5-star, brand new, fresh out of the gate, brand new quarterback getting hurt this early in the season and having an injury that lasts him 6 games, 8 games, even the whole season. It really, if we see him running, I really want to see him sliding.
Well, we've had problems with that. We've had problems with the quarterbacks not knowing how to slide. I mean, if you look at some of our old quarterbacks, now they are highlight reels. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you watch Hendon Hooker in the lines. I mean, pretty much. I mean, he destroyed that defensive back. I mean, he obliterated him, but he also got a concussion. So. I mean, there's been problems with our quarterbacks not knowing how. And Milton did the same thing. I mean, it was like, I think the same day they were playing, the maybe it was a game later. Might have been a game later, but they both trucked somebody, but they didn't like they've not been sliding. Now their coaches have been working with them in the pro level to make them get down to because we don't want them to get hurt either. But that's a problem we've had. We've had a problem with our quarterbacks not learning to take that slide. I mean,
effectively slide. Yeah.
yeah. We don't want you to get hurt. We need you for this season. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we need especially Nico. We need him for the next 4 years. You know.
Yeah.
And when we have situations where we have people like Milton who are not, they're not adequate at throwing, and then they start rushing halfway through the game or even near the end of the season, I mean, regardless of the statute of Milton, but it's like if you're going to start rushing, then you please know how to slide
Oh,
because we don't
absolutely.
want you to get hurt. And I just hope that that's something that they're taking to practice.
Hey,
I
yeah.
really hope that they're doing that, something to, use this in games.
I definitely agree. I think that's important for us to start using that and utilizing that to keep our guys healthy. But again, it's not just that. I mean, we got to make sure our offensive line is on par. We've had some problems there,
Yeah.
not protecting our quarterback, and it's so much more important when you have a fresh young quarterback coming in, and it's going to be we're looking at him as our future next 4 years quarterback. We want to make sure we keep him healthy for the next 4 years. So our offensive
Absolutely.
line has to be there too. It's not just the quarterback sliding. It's all the way around. You're got some veterans coming back in that position, but we got to make sure we got our head on a swivel and protecting our QB.
Right. But whenever we lose somebody, with the talent of like Cooper Mays, for instance, then it's crazy to think that it's possible that we might have Nico getting hurt. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I stressed last episode was that we really need Nico to be in a physical appearance, something physical, so that he can be able to, take these sacks if they occur.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty important. Now, Jayden, what are we looking at on the defensive line side? What are you seeing there? I mean,
On terms of defensive line, I think Coach Heupel. I've over the offseason, I've watched like a bunch of like little interviews or whatever. I heard that he's I think he says he's pretty confident in our defensive line. I think, of course, we have Pierce. We have Pierce, but
beast.
he's
He's
an
a
absolute
beast.
monster.
Mhm.
Absolute monster.
14 and
and
a half tackles for losses last
Yeah.
year. That's
like that's insane. And like he was or no, we was I think I said this in the first episode, like the best pass rushing team in the SEC at least.
oh yeah, we were poised for some awards there.
For a little while or whatever. I don't know if it was for the entire year, but I know that we had the best pass rushing team in SEC a little bit for a little while. But yeah, James Pierce, absolute monster. I'm sure that he's going to be utilized a lot. I'm not like that he wasn't, utilized last year, but I think that he's got more time training in the off season. I mean, I'm excited to see how he plays. Just, not like that we haven't seen his insane talent already, but like how much more has he improved, already? If there's any, of course we want him to improve, but how better can he get than he already is? You know what I mean? So
And playing a team like Chattanooga, what's he going to do to a
is he
team
going
like
to
that?
decimate the offensive line? Is he going to just completely blitz run around him? Like bull rush him? Like we have no idea. And of course, I want to see, how he does against better opponents.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like Oklahoma coming up, NC State, of course.
They struggled.
NC State, they struggled a bit. They struggled a bit, but a bit. That's crazy. But I don't know. I'm the defensive back though. The secondary as well is going to be interesting they're not new to the game of football, but they're new to us
Yeah.
because they haven't played for us, and we talked about that last episode. But in terms of defensive line, I think we'll be all right. Now, are we going to be able to compete with like a Georgia? I have no idea. We have no idea. Like, I would love to see if our defensive line could hold someone like a Georgia, or whatever. But you just never know. But if Josh Heupel says he's confident, and every coach says that, not trying to like shoot shots at everyone, but everyone's like, if you were like Nick Saban, who's like, yeah, I'm confident we're winning it. Like everyone believed it, because it was
Oh, of
Nick
course,
Saban. It was
yeah.
the Alabama team. He's already done it like 15 times over. So, and the same thing with Georgia. They've been on the wagon too. They've been on the train, shoveling coal in the furnace. They're going on to the championship, except for last season. But they've done it before. But if Georgia's like, yeah, we're very confident we go all the way, I mean, you'd believe it. But hearing it with someone like us, and I read comments all the time on Instagram, and other ones like, man, Tennessee says this stuff every year, and they finish middle of the SEC. I'm like, I mean,
we've had some hard breaks. We've had some hard breaks in some key positions that would really help us out. Go further on. I mean, if you just look back, we've talked about this before. Hooker getting injured, that hurt us. I mean, we would have went to the playoffs. I mean, we would have definitely if he didn't get injured, and there was some issues with the team fighting within each other, and that was horrible. And then with Brew getting injured last year, we needed that. We needed Brew, and you look at the team, and it's not just one guy. That one player is not going to make or break, but sometimes that demoralizes the rest of the team when somebody that you're leaning on to help the team succeed gets injured. That does, put a little damper in the spirit sometimes, and I think that has happened to us quite a bit throughout the past couple of years. But we got to look forward to what we have now, and we've got some. I mean, there is some amazing talent still on the team. Don't get us wrong whatsoever. If you're listening to this, don't get us wrong. We're not saying that the team is just downright bad or anything, but we have some questionable. We just don't know. There's some question marks on there. We just haven't seen them perform yet personally, and I mean, we do have some good guys coming back. I mean, if you look at just our running back Sampson alone, he had 164 career carries or 164 career carries and 0 fumbles. That's pretty impressive. 0 fumbles.
Yeah.
That's something to be proud of, and he's going to have to keep that up this year too. Don't get me wrong, but I think it all boils down to we're wondering how everybody's going to perform, especially this being a first for a lot of people, including Nico. It's his first season start.
It is his first season start, and not to circle back on other topics, but in terms of like defense, we do have a lot of juniors and seniors on that defensive line. Sure, we got some sophomores and freshmen, but we have some people who has played with us, or some people who's came in and that has already been playing the game. So just to see how are they going to, do they fit in? Do they work with the scheme, and like going to Nico, like this is his first start. Is he going to? And it's just Chattanooga, of course. I don't think he's going to be necessarily nervous against an opponent like Chattanooga. But
he didn't seem like he was nervous against Iowa.
No, he didn't. He did not. I will say, I hope not that I don't think his awareness was necessarily bad or anything, right? But I hope his awareness has just gotten better to know when to because staying in the pocket or running is a split-second decision. You just have to make it. You can't ponder on it. I want to know if he's gotten better, and of course, it is like a judgment call.
Yeah, it's a
50-50. It's not that you're gonna make the right decision all the time, but whatever you feel is best in that situation. But can he make those decisions and make it work? And that's kind of hard, and it kind of piles up a bunch of stuff against him, which it sucks because it's like we demand just run, do better. But in that moment, it's harder. It's easier said than done to just say, oh, just run or back out of the pocket, because in that moment he may see something that we don't, or we may misinterpret something because we're watching on a TV screen, or he misinterprets something. It's like it's easy for us to say something, and for him to do something else or
Oh
do
yeah, I
whatever.
mean we're not there in that pocket. We don't
No,
feel
so
the crowd. We don't feel the the pressure of someone breathing down your neck. So it is a little bit, as they say,
but
quarterback, Sunday morning quarterback it. But
yeah.
it is what it
But
is.
can he and I know like I said it piles against him, which like I said it kind of sucks, but can he make those decisions and make them work out? Can he be the playmaker that Hendon was? Like take Hendon for example. Can he be like that? Where Hendon's like, "Oh, time to go. Lace up my cleats and start running." Start running. And can he make it work? Can he see lanes and ball and visions to carry the ball down the field, slide like Cody mentioned, to save himself and not get hurt? Or if he feels like he can get more yards and do it in a safe way, then cool. But Nico's first start, I'm interested to see how he does. I want to see some bombs down the field, but yeah, we're running it. I think we're gonna be running it a lot against someone like Chattanooga. Why wouldn't you? I hate no shots, Chattanooga fan, but
One thing I think most Tennessee fans can agree on, and this was because of a Milton thing, I really do believe. I don't think it was because of just, we didn't have anything else to throw out there. I think it was because of Milton being able to accurately throw the ball. I'm tired of screens. I'm so sick
screens
and
are
tired
bad,
of
man.
screens. I mean, they're not bad for once in a while, but
No,
if that's
but
all we're doing,
it's in the rotation of plays. It's like,
yeah. I mean, they know it's coming. They see the setup a mile away. They know, and it gets old. And I think that was because Milton couldn't accurately throw it to the guy that he was trying to down the field. And a lot of people's been right. About having some worries about mid range. Is not the deep balls or the screen passes, but the mid range. Milton was horrible at it. He could not, sometimes hit the guy in the middle of the field. And I'm hoping Nico don't take some of those bad habits that he learned from Milton and carry that over to his career here at Tennessee. I'm hoping he's got a good quarterback coach, or maybe hopefully they brought some people in to kind of, mentor him in the off season to teach him a little bit about that awareness and field presence there on knowing where you're at, knowing where your people's at, not just being fixated on one person, keeping your eyes moving. I think that's important things to be able to do as a quarterback. And unfortunately, Milton just wasn't that for us. And him being underneath Milton, I seen a little bit of Milton in him at that Iowa game, and that scared me.
Yeah, he ran, I think, for more touchdowns, and he didn't throw them during that Iowa game. I think he had what? I wish I had that pulled up. I didn't think we'd be referring to the Iowa game a little bit, like 3 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing or something, something like that. I don't know.
I got you.
But I see, and I mentioned that last episode, like watching like the highlights of like Milton and just last year's game. It's like it just on paper he did good, but it just didn't compute when you watched it on film. It just didn't look like it. And like I said, even may be controversial. Like I said for the Iowa game when we saw Nico play, it looked like the same thing. And that's what scares me. It's like Nico didn't necessarily do bad in the Iowa game by no means, but when you watch the tape, it's like,
well, it could have been a couple different key factors. It could have been because the team had to play this way this whole entire time. This is what they were used to up into going into the Iowa game. This is what Nico had learned that whole season because Milton was a starter. So seeing a little bit Milton in him might have been because the play calling was so similar to how they had historically that season played. So it's what he knew. It would have been hard for, I guess, to start a whole new thing just because he was going to be starter quarterback that game. But
yeah, that's what it was. 3 rushing touchdowns for Nico that game and 1
3
passing.
rushing. Yeah.
He didn't throw bad. He had a good pass percentage or pass completion rating, 12 and 19. I mean, he only took 19 though.
Yeah, he threw for his last touchdown.
It's kind of low. Only 19 passes.
Well, again, like I just said, it could have been because of the play style that we had been already accustomed to throughout the season.
I agree.
We had done most of this. I mean, go back, look at all our games. It was screen passes because the few times that Milton did throw it down the field, he was like a 50-50. It was a 50-50 ball. You didn't know if the guy was,
Yeah, you didn't know what you were getting.
if the guy was going to be able to catch it, or it was a mile away from him. I mean, the dude, and when he did pass it to shorter guys, even when the screen throws, guys were having a hard time catching the ball because he threw it like 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
So, having that history of playing like that season, I could see why they didn't change it up. Maybe that was the reason why we kind of seen a little bit. Now this is a new season. They had time to develop a little bit in the off season to see what kind of play style would fit Nico a little bit better, because it's going to be, that offense is going to be customed around how he can play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see what that looks like. What that play style is going to be like. I really am hoping we go back to that fast paced, like
I as well.
from the first year Heupel got there.
We could do some damage on high tempo.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really
Fast
wears
tempo.
out the defense.
Can't catch the breath, and
They
it forces
can't.
them to use a timeout
Yeah, and
if they have to.
so many teams
The
got mad at
only
us because
They
of
can't
it.
sub either.
Yeah,
the only problem that I see with that is that you have to have a quarterback that knows their players
Yep.
and knows the plays, and that's Nico's brand new. And to expect him to be able to do that right off the gate is very difficult. And I think, although it's a standard that I wish that I could have, I think that's a standard that can't be met this early into the season. So to have Nico trying to make plays like that, right off the gun, not even taking a beat, not even taking a huddle, it's going to be difficult for him to try to kind of make those kinds of plays.
I
But
I don't know if it's
I could see
difficult.
it.
Because I mean, Hooker's first year with us was, when he was starting quarterback, it was fast paced. He was thrown into it, and he picked it up like no problem. So if Nico's been training like that in the off season, I think it's a possibility. I think he could. I mean, he's had a chance to learn some of his players and learn how they, their mannerisms. Now they'll learn real quick this season about them,
Yeah.
when they get
Right.
thrown into the deep end. But
Right.
I wouldn't say that it's a long shot that they couldn't start off the season.
I think towards the
fast-paced.
end of the season, that's definitely an option. I think towards the end of like what is it? I think maybe not towards like a Georgia game, but maybe towards Oklahoma, he might get a little leeway into it. But to say that for the first game is a little difficult for me. I think if we looked into probably it's hard telling. Maybe towards like the Alabama Kentucky game, maybe something like that. Those are games that I could see him really making those fast plays, just like Hooker did. Um, making the plays, making the whether or not they want to throw it, whether they want to run it, whether they want to, do something like that. I think that's definitely the time in the season that we're going to see plays like that.
I mean, if anybody's a gamer and has played the new NCAA game, there's a mode that you go on there and you can create a character and you play as whatever character. If you choose a quarterback, you fight for that spot, that number one spot. And there's one thing on there I think they did really well. And it's basically coaching trust. And
Yes.
coaching trust is big, in any team you go into, how much that coach trusts you to make the right decision in the right time. Hooker, Heupel trusted Hooker to make that decision. If he thought that he could, just tuck the ball and run, he was totally okay with letting him make that decision. It's going to take time for Nico to get that trust, and he's going to have to build on it throughout, not just this year, but as long as he is with us at Tennessee. And hopefully we may see another, Heisman, style quarterback. Because Hooker was a Heisman candidate. I mean, let's face it,
He would have won it if he didn't
would
get
have
hurt.
won it. Yeah. So I want to see that again here in Tennessee, and I think Nico has the opportunity. Now, which brings me to our next point. It's kind of funny because as Tennessee fans, we already expect, no matter what going into the season, that
No.
we're excited. We're like, we have been known and it's been a joke, and you kind of alluded to it earlier in this podcast, that we always say that either this is a building year or we're going to win the national championship. It's always been like that. We've been hyped up. We're always hyped up before the game even starts or the season even starts. Coach is playing some interesting tactics here. His last comment is that he thinks that we can be a national championship team again, but it's not this team. But it's soon.
Interesting.
So, and that's not a direct. It's pretty close to exactly what he said. If I can find it here, what he said, but I mean, I don't know if that's a trying to cool down the fans to get them, back into reality that we got a freshman quarterback, first year, basically starting, or that he knows more than we know, and this could be a stellar year.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. And we said this in the first one as well. Like, if it's not this year, it's definitely could be within the next 1 or 2 years.
I mean, it's interesting to see him. I mean, he's known for some interesting tactics, anyways.
Yeah.
I want to say it's likely the first play that is out of the gate for Nico. He's throwing the ball downfield.
I'd like to see that.
Or it's going to be a trick play. I bet I put some money on it. Because he's known for doing stuff like that. He's known to make the interesting, tricky calls. Surprising thing, and I mean, if you look back at last year, there was always some kind of wild play right off the bat, and
yeah,
he's known to try to get into the other team's head right off the bat, and I like that. I like that we have a coach that knows football and knows it's not just a physical game; it's a mental game. And he's playing the other. As much as the team on the field's playing, he's also playing that other coach. He's trying to get in that other coach and in the other team's head. And I wonder if his statements about that is a little bit of trying to get into the heads of maybe Chattanooga or, some of the bigger teams down the road. Because if they go into those games thinking, it's a rookie quarterback, we're just going to run over them like we have in the previous years, and they don't, how much crazier is that going to be at the end of the year? We're looking back and we actually do get to make it to the playoffs. How crazy is that tactic from the get-go when he's saying, it's not this year, but it will eventually.
Yeah, but it will.
Yeah. That to me is, I think that's a tactic. I think coach is playing right off the bat, playing with the other teams that are coming up. I think he knows more than what people are letting on about Nico. I think he's letting on more than people know about the defensive backs. And there's been a lot of talk, not even Tennessee fans. I'm talking about just the press that have looked at some of the practices, have seen some of the things coming out of there, and they're like, these guys can be a contender team. So him coming out and having that statement is kind of wild, because you never hear a coach just say, we're an okay team, we'll get there eventually. But right off the bat, he's saying, we're building a team here. It's not this year, but it's definitely going to happen soon. What is that saying to the bigger teams later on in the season?
That we might have an ace in the hole.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's somebody on that team that, whether it's Nico, whether it's someone that there's somebody on that team that, is going to be downright unstoppable.
Yeah, well, it's just something that we're going to have to wait and find out. Well, we won't even really know until it happens.
It's just, tomorrow's game is going to be, crazy. We're already pumped up for this game.
Mhm.
But looking ahead at the season and seeing what we got coming up for us, knowing where we were in the previous years and the struggles we've had, and this being something that we've kind of, like I said, we've been that team that said this is a building year. This really is the definition of building year.
Mhm.
But how fast of a build is this going to be? Is it going to be a build through the season, or is it going to build through a couple of years? And I'm excited to find out on day one what we even look like, what he has in store for us. And if I know anything about his coaching style in the past, day one may not even look like day two.
Oh yeah.
I
Maybe
think
completely
this
different.
game is. I think this game is really going to set the pace for the season. I mean, if we struggle, then I think we're going to struggle through the season. If we do great, I think we're going to be good for the season. I think a lot of the games that we're supposed to win, we're going to win. Now, if we lose, I might not even come back to the podcast. I ain't gonna lie. But I think this is definitely going to set the tone for the season. I mean, it's possible that Heupel may be, already getting tactics ready from what he's already seen through the summer. I mean, he might be already getting tactics ready for other teams to the best of his abilities from what he's seen from Nico and the rest of the team. But I think that tomorrow's game is definitely going to be a pace setter for the rest of the season.
I mean, I'll say this. This is a cupcake game for us. We know this. The rest of the SEC knows this.
Yeah.
Just
Hopefully.
outside chance here. I'm spitballing. I don't want this to happen. I want them to walk out and demolish Chattanooga, just like because they're a small school and we need to just show off our brilliance of power. What if coaches in his tactics, we just beat him by like 3 touchdowns, let him score a couple of times,
Mm. And
and
then
then we
makes people think that we're not good.
makes them think we're not good. We go into Oklahoma, and he opens up his playbook. I mean, he's looking like, water boy over there. Coach, what was the other coach? Not Coach Klein, the other coach. He's looking at that other coach for the other team there, and he's like, just, the Oklahoma's over there looking like Coach Klein, having to read, coaching for dummies over there. What if that? I mean, I'm not saying that's a strategy. I'm just saying would be an interesting thought process just based off of his comments and everybody already expecting this to be a building year for us. What if he gives everybody else a little bit of taste of what they already expect just to prove a bigger point later down the line?
I mean, it could be possible, but I honestly don't think that will happen. Just because, not that it's like, oh, we're showing off all of our talent and power. It's just like, we may just do like a dumb play and it just may work out and we may just score off of it or something because, Chattanooga. Sorry, Chattanooga. But it's just, imagine we do that and we don't recover from it.
I mean, that's
We
possible.
don't gain nothing from it. Imagine
that
we
is
do that
a
and then
long shot.
lose the rest of the season.
I mean, that is that is something that's risky. But if we got the players that can pull off the 65-0 win, it shouldn't be a problem to, hey, let's give them a score here so that we can look like we may have some issues in the defense. Hey, let's not break, every single tackle for a 90-yard run, which I seen yesterday, like Arkansas pretty much doing almost every single play when they played their cupcake game.
Yeah, they shouldn't exert themselves, but they should definitely have fun with it. Get loose. Just play the game of football. Play like you're meant to play. And if you have some good stuff happen, then so be it. And you score a bunch, and so be it. But no, I don't think we should. I mean, yeah, that's the point of the game is to score, but I don't think we should try to make it like. 114-0. You know, like
Yeah.
nothing crazy. Just
No,
like,
and if any player does listen to this podcast or even gets a hold of this podcast, listen to it, we want you to go out there and have fun. We want you to go out there and this is your game to have fun. This is a game to have a blast in because it's the first year. We're pumped up to watch you guys play. We're pumped up to see what y'all can do this season. This is a game where you can have a little bit of fun. Go out there and show off some talent. Don't show off all of it. We want to save some of that for the bigger teams, but you're not going to be like looking down the barrel like you would be at Alabama. You're not looking down the barrel like
Yeah.
at Georgia. Those teams we want you to be focused. We want you to this game you can have fun. You can get out there and have fun with the fans and stuff like that. Because this is an exciting day for all of us, So Heupel is interesting. He has some interesting tactics. I'm going to say I'm going to put money on it. The first down of offense for us, it's going to be a bomb or it's going to be a trick play. I think he's just to screw with the other team.
I'd like to see that.
We've seen it multiple times last season, and it paid out. So Chattanooga, we're sorry for your loss ahead of time.
I'm not.
But this is going to be a fun day for us. We're looking forward. We're hanging out together. We're going to be sitting here on the couch watching this game, rooting our favorite team on, and we're excited to see what the season has for us and what the possibilities are. Probably we'll have a lot more information for you on the next episode, especially for the next pregame episode on what everything is looking for on that next game. But especially since NC State's already played,
Yeah.
and they had some struggles there. So
I'll have to do some research on that game.
So we'll have a little bit more information on what both teams are looking like because Tennessee hasn't played yet, so we don't know. But we're just guessing on how this Chattanooga game is going to turn out.
No, I'm not guessing. I know.
Well, I'm not saying score wise.
I know.
I'm not saying win loss. I'm just saying as far as coaching tactics go.
Oh yeah.
Because this does set up for the rest of this.
Yeah.
And he's looking. Let's face it. Tennessee's already looking to the Alabama. They're already looking to the Florida. We're already looking to the those type of teams. We're setting ourselves up this game for those games later down the road. So we're excited to see what you have in store for us. How you're going to excite us this year in some of the spectacular ways you've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Because you know what they say, it's great to be a Tennessee Vol.
Really is until it isn't.
Until it isn't.
Just kidding. No, it's great.
A lot of heartbreak years, that's for sure.
Yeah, hurt's kind of part of the package when you're a Tennessee fan.
That is true. Truer words have never been said. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoy these podcasts we're putting out. We will have a game, like what do you call it, Jayden? A summary.
Post game.
Yeah, post game summary. Possibly Monday or Tuesday. It'd be either Monday or Tuesday coming out for you. To let you know how we thought the game went and see if we, had any idea of how this game was going to go. Kind of look back and see what we said on here and if we were right about anything. But which I don't know if we really said much to really go
we
off
didn't really
of as
predict
far as
much.
yeah. More just on what we think we can see of these people, but we don't know. But we'll have a post game, summary of what we think of how the game went and what we could possibly go further on from that. And that will be out on Monday or Tuesday of this following week here when we find out where the AP polls
Yeah,
drop.
JP
I
polls.
mean, what are we ranked? 14th,
15th.
15th.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll probably move. You know, a loss will definitely move the needle for us. A win's not probably won't do much for us with this game. But there's other teams that are playing on Saturday that you know played the Thursday night. You know, so there's going to be some movements going on from where the first, you know, the preseason polls or preseason polling was at to where we're going to be at on whenever the first season, you know, poll drops. So we'll have, if that's included on Sunday, if that drops Sunday, we'll record that night and have it out for you Monday morning. Vice versa, if it does on Monday, then we'll record that night and have a podcast for you on Tuesday morning. And then we'll actually kind of know at that point how our season's going to look like when we're going to record too, for you guys to be able to get a take on what we think our season's going to look like also. So, y'all got anything to say before we wrap this up?
45-7.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah.
I don't have a prediction.
45-7.
We did predictions last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to write these down. Okay, let's put this in. We're going to put this in our Discord. You said it's 45-7.
Yeah.
I don't know.
45.
56-0.
56-0. Okay.
But he said, I'm going to wipe the floor with you.
I don't.
I'm going to say, just based off of the games I've seen already on Cupcake games, I say it's closer to 63-7.
Ooh. 3-7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that just off of the games, I know I said earlier in the podcast there could be some trickery and see if let them. I don't know if coach will go for that, but I think just based off of the games, just the Cupcake games we've seen so far, I think it's possibly going to be I think they'll maybe let them score based on our third string coming in, but I mean, Arkansas had 50-some points in the first half of their game.
Yeah, that's insane.
If we can't do something like that, then. But yeah. Y'all got anything else?
No, I'm good.
I'm set.
All right. As always, guys, it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. It's football time in Tennessee again. Thank the Lord that the leaves will be turning orange because God is a Tennessee fan, of course. And football will be played on Saturdays again here in Tennessee. I love that time of year. And as always, I'm Dustin.
I'm Jayden.
And I'm Cody.
And we'll catch you next time.